Alrighty, so to continue, at this point, slide 21, we are going to be entering into World War II. This is during the decade of the 1940s, so 1940 to 1949. And the war was ended in 1945. It's just, they kind of wrap all of the 40s right into World War II for the most part. So basically, as the world entered into its Second World War, there was a strong desire to support troops, save lives, and see the war to a quick and safe end, and it was motivation for everything. And this is the Zeitgeist, I almost forgot to mention. And it was during that time that medical personnel saw staggering numbers of men experiencing psychiatric casualties. And we saw the government step up and try and help. And by help, I mean they sent them booze and cigarettes, which once they came home was really not good, as they used that as a coping mechanism. Anyways, so that kind of sets the idea that we see a lot of psychiatric casualties from this one, more than any other one. And that's just because it was so brutal. The pictures you see here are, I believe, all 4 men are suffering from shell shock or PTSD of some sort. So, on that next slide, like they say, overall, 25% of casualties were caused by war trauma. This rate was even higher, 50% for soldiers engaged in long, intense fighting. And in fact, so many soldiers were affected that psychiatrists were confronted with the reality that psychological weakness had little to do with the subsequent distress in combat. And some methods used by psychiatrists at the time, including administering sodium pentotham and to induce repressed battlefield experiences, and even dispersing liquor to soldiers, like I mentioned earlier. They don't mention it, but their cigarettes, when they weren't being extremely rationed, were given out. But in one of the articles, it mentions that one of the sergeants or someone mentions that to try and get the public to understand what's going on, they kind of do a little presentation to let the public know, like, hey, this can happen to anyone. One part that really kind of stuck out to me was that every man has his breaking point, and I thought that was really, important, because this is finally the United States admitting that, hey, it's not just them, it's what's going on to them. So I thought that was really, really kind of cool. So I made that kind of the header. But yeah, so the other thing to note is that, like I said, the psychiatrists, psychologists, physicians are all understanding at this point, it's not the person. It can't be, because of the staggering numbers that we're having in cases. It's the situations. And a lot of these men have gone through so much that they physically, mentally cannot handle it. And that's what happens. So, yeah. And that is World War II. I will continue on to the 1940s in the next video.